Good morning, everybody. Thank you for joining. Whoever's joining, we're also recording the session for you guys to plug into it and watch it later if you've missed out on anything. But um, today we're kind of looking into something that's very interesting. It is a tenant screening um, company that they have connected with on our PropTex um, platform with Treb. So we're just going to look into it. It is pay per use, and I will have again explain it to us a little bit more as to how it goes and what the cost is and how we can actually use this tool. So over to you.
Awesome. Appreciate the introduction. Could I just share my screen?
Yeah, first. There you go. Should be able to.
All right. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. I appreciate all 16 of you guys and my AI recorder tuning in. I know it's super gray outside, so I'll try to keep this as fun as possible, and we'll have some time at the end for the Q&A. General structure for these presentations usually starts off with a video of the product, and then we'll go into actually how to go and get started and how to access the whole software. Next piece will be another product that we're launching for this year called Deep Check Instant. So it's going to be some 2026 launch material. And then we'll show you guys what each applicant sees as well while they're logging into the system. And then we'll finish it off with a few more product announcements for the first quarter. And super excited to get into this. And then we'll do a Q&A session all the way at the end. But I'll stop in between for each session if anyone has any questions. Sorry, was my system audio not sharing before?
It wasn't sharing the audio.
No, and
Oh,
it was
okay.
like super fast. I was like,
So
what
sorry
is, I
about that,
felt like I was
guys.
in a race car.
Finding a re-
Okay, let's just do that one more time. Sorry about that, guys.
Uh,
finding a reliable renter is hard. We fixed that. Step 1, send an invite. Step 2, check the results. Summary, employment, financials, identity, references, credit, plus. It's time for you to close more, screen faster, boost efficiency, build trust, stay ahead.
Okay, awesome. I know that was super fast, and we'll go through everything now. I usually honestly show that video just to get everyone's dopamine rushing because it has some super intense music. Um, all right, so we're going to start off with how to actually use the product itself, and then we'll get into what the applicant sees, new product features, and all that fun stuff. Getting started is super, super easy. We'll start off by going over to ontariomlp.ca, or you can access the product through Realm and Matrix. It'll just be inside of your toolkit. Super standard stuff, just the same way you're logging into the rest of your PropTex environments. You go in with your SSO, your user ID, and your PIN, and then you're
so,
able to
sorry,
go.
again, I'm going to just interrupt for a very quick second
Yeah.
because we have a brokerage which has Cornerstone Realtors and
Yep.
Treb Realtors.
Got it.
So could you also put it in the chat what your direct uh, site is for Cornerstone? Because I'm guessing that it's not collaborated with them, correct?
I can double check, but I'm pretty sure Cornerstone is a part of the new PropTech board. Is
No, it's not. That's
it's not?
Oakville,
Okay,
Milton, Burlington. Cornerstone has a completely different system.
got it. I'll send over a link right after our meeting today
Perfect.
for a
Thank you.
link specifically for Cornerstone environments. And then for everyone else, it is just ontariomlp.ca. And I'll make a note to go and send over a link for the rest of you folks to go and use the product as well. But you go in, you sign in. It would be the same process if you guys were normally logging into your Cornerstone. You just go in with your username and password, and then you're in the software. You go and launch it if you have OntarioMLP.ca, and then that's it. That's all you have to go and do. You get into the software, and then there's going to be a button in the top right, and it's going to say invite applicant. And you're just going to go over there and then invite the applicant using their username of their email and their phone number. So you just enter in that email and phone number that they've provided you, and that's all you have to do. That's if it's your tenant. If it's someone else's tenant, or maybe you have a larger package or something else that you usually send them, you also have the option of sharing a link. So that link can be shared with any realtor or any tenant to go and complete their screening. And that's all you would have to go and do. So as soon as you share that link, they're able to go start the screening process. Next step, if you
So
chose
you're
to
saying,
invite
again, that to use it for the person that you are actually going and looking for a property for, so you're representing the tenant? Because usually you would do this when you're representing the landlord, correct?
Exactly. So if you're representing the tenant, then you can invite the applicant. If you don't have their information, then you can just go and hit share link. So either works. The only difference is that when you invite the applicant, they'll just get a system message from our system saying that, hey, XYZ Realtor has invited you to complete a screening, and it's a little bit more personalized. But if you want to send them the link, you can totally go and send them the link as well. Both of them works. It's just one invites it for them, and then you don't have to go to the work of explaining to them like, oh, what is the process? What is the software? It'll just go and send it from our system. It'll have our email there. If they have any questions, they can go and ask us. Does that make sense?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay, awesome. And then the next step would be to go and send over the screening invite. So if you have their information, then you can go and enter it in and be their first name, their last name, their email, and then their phone number. Again, all this information is really just used to go and contact them. So if you don't have their last name, it's not like the end of the world. Same thing with the first name, same thing with the email and phone number. It's just each user would go and need their own phone number and email. And then just for your own bookkeeping, you can go and add a co-applicant, and this would send out a screening to both of them. This would allow you to obviously pair the two together. But other than pairing the two together on the system, there's no actual verification difference. Next step would be to go and add property context. You have 3 options for adding property details. Again, this step is also non-essential. If you don't want to go and enter in the property context, you don't have to. The first option is you can enter in the address, and you can say, hey, it's not on the PropText MLS system or the Cornerstone MLS system. And then you can just go and type in their address, and we'll do like a Google autofill, just like it would on any other website. So that's the first option. The second option is you go and say, hey, what are you screening for? And you select your listings at the property source. And then if you are a PropText member, we'll be able to go and pull the listings from your account on the MLS and actually show you, hey, these are the listings that you have, and you can select any one of them. And then the other option would be is you don't just enter anything at all, or you leave it blank and enter in the MLS ID. And feel free to drop as many questions as you guys want. At the end of each section, I'll just go through all the questions at once and then answer them. So I saw that message, Farha. I'll get back to you in just a minute. The next step would be to go and choose who pays. So you have 2 options. Either you can go pay for it yourself or make the applicant pay for it themselves. If the applicant chooses to go and pay for it themselves, then they're able to go and share the report with other realtors as well. So say you screen them or they pulled a screening on themselves and things didn't work out, they were just not the right fit for the property. It's not the end of the world, and the $14 that they pay for the report won't go to waste, because you can tell them like, hey, any other realtor that you might want to work with, you can now share this report with them, and you won't have to keep giving them documents and reapplying to each unit. The first option is what most realtors do. They'll end up just paying for it. And most of our users usually will purchase 10 to 12 screenings at once, and they'll get like a 25% discount on the whole thing, and they'll kind of just use it throughout the year. We also have a lot of brokerages now that are eager to go and sort of purchase, 100 or 50 of these reports at once, and then they'll go back to the agent and almost include it as an agent amenity, or everyone purchases it together at once at the brokerage. The next step is that's literally it. It gets sent out to them, and then the report gets generated after the user completes it. Now, before I go up to the next section, I'll just answer Farha's question, and then any other questions that might have came up for this process up until now. Farha said, listing agents don't have direct access to potential tenants. Doesn't it have to be done through the co-op agent? Totally. You can go and do the co-op agent and tell them, hey, I need their email and phone number to go and send them this link so that they can go and complete their verification. But if they're hesitating, then you can tell them like, hey, you should probably screen your tenant yourself and just go to PropText Verify, and then that agent can go and tell their tenant to go pull the report. If you feel like there's too many steps in between that, you can literally just take that link from that first page that we saw. I'll just pull it up again. You can quite literally just go here and hit that share link button and then share that with the cooperating agent, and then they'll go and give it to their tenant if they don't feel like sharing those details with you.
Yeah. But you should do it from your own system for sure.
You definitely should.
As the listing agent. Don't rely on anybody else to do it. And anyways, the telephone number and email has to be it has to be taken anyways for the standard lease form. So
Exactly. It's included in your OREA form, and it's your right. So as someone that's representing a landlord, you have to protect their best interest. And most landlords that you get are usually clients from investor property. So it's usually someone that has bought some sort of pre-con unit from you and they want you to fill it up. So you want to go and protect their interests and go and screen this tenant and do your due diligence so that they don't have a bad tenant in that unit. And then, no, you don't need the tenant's permission. It's all, again, within your rights. When they're going and applying for a unit and they're filling out an OREA form or a rental form, it's actually included in there that, like, hey, the listing agent is going to go and do due diligence on you when they're going and putting you inside of a unit. All right, we're just going to go off to the next section. And then if anyone has any more questions, then I'll read them at the end of the next section. So now we're going to go through what the applicant sees themselves. So the applicant has now received an SMS or an email, or the other agent has gone and sent them a link to go and complete the screening. And the first page that they would see is, hey, PropText is screening you for a rental application. Over here, it'll usually go and say the agent's name. Arjun is about to go and screen you for a rental unit, and it'll tell them the 3 steps. Just go and zoom in over here. It says, hey, let's get started with your rental verification. First, we're going to go and verify your identity. Second, we're going to go and connect to financial accounts. Third, we're going to go and complete your screening and review it for background checks and credit checks. And over here, there's a soft check that occurs. So it's not a hard check. It's not going to affect their score at all. We have a specific relationship with Equifax and TransUnion that allows us to go and pull soft checks. Next step would be go and enter in the phone number that's associated with their ID. So it has to be the same phone number that you entered when you were inviting them. They'll go and get a one-time password. They'll enter in the one-time password, and then they'll go and be prompted to go and verify their ID. We have multiple types of identity verification solutions. So you can upload anything from a driver's license to a photo ID card to health insurance card to passport card. Basically anything works over here. And then we'll be able to go and use IDs from 180 plus countries. So if it's a newer applicant, maybe from the States, you can go and use any state ID and it would work just the same. The next step would be to go in and enter in the email and the date of birth for the tenant. So this is what the tenant is doing themselves. The next step would be to go and indicate your employment status. The 3 options are full-time, part-time, and self-employed. If you're full-time and part-time, you're going to be prompted to go and connect your payroll account. And if you don't have a payroll account with one of our partners, we have over 250 different partners. But if you don't have a payroll account with any of those providers, then what's going to happen is you can actually just go and upload your documents manually, and then we'll do a thing called an OCR check, which is the same tech that a bank or a big mortgage company would go and use to when they're going and qualifying you for an employment letter. And then the other option is to go and hit self-employed. Over here, you would enter in your corporation name. And then what we do is we actually go and check if that corporation has any overdue taxes, if there's been any fraud on there, how long has the company been open for? Is it even a real company? So we'll go and check all these things in the back end. And everything applies if it's sole proprietorship, if it's a corporation, all the different types of corporations, it'll work for that. You just have to enter in the name of the corporation. And then this is an example of the payroll software opening up. So they're able to go in and actually connect the different payroll softwares. And then I'll pull up a demo of what that would actually look like. So this is just directly taken off of our website, and I'll drop that in chat as well. But this is sort of what it would look like. Is the applicant goes on, they go and hit Uber, for example, so they're an Uber driver, they enter in their credentials, and then the software basically just goes into Uber, verifies their credentials, verifies their employment details, and it'll actually prove that they're now an Uber driver. They actually work at Uber, and it'll show you all the earnings, the amount they've made, how long they've been employed for, how many hours they usually get, and all that information is pulled directly from Uber itself. And the next step would be to go and connect your bank account. We support both personal and business bank accounts. So if a lot of your money is coming in from your business bank account, then you can also go and connect a business bank account. And if you have a personal account, that's where your money is, then you can go and do that as well. The bank connection works similarly as the payroll connection. It's a direct connection into the account. And I'll show you guys an example of that in a moment. And if someone doesn't feel comfortable connecting a bank account, then they can always go and upload bank statements themselves. And then we'll go and do the same thing that we did for the pay stubs, where we're going in and using OCR and checking whether or not those statements are legit or not. We'll just go over here real quick and show you guys an example of that. Now, this would be an example. This would be the same thing that you would be doing on like a Wealthsimple or any Questrade account. Anytime you're using one of these like new fintech companies, they'll be using a direct bank connection to go and validate your bank details. And now applicants can go and do this to go and prove the rental history. And that's literally it. It'll show you the different accounts, and then you'll connect your account, and that's it. And then the last step would be to go and enter in your rental history. So you're going in and entering things like your current address, your residential status, your rent amount, your start date, why you're moving out of the place itself, the landlord's name, email, and phone number. And then you can keep adding more and more references if you have any beyond the initial one that you entered. And then we'll run an automation on top of this to go and basically figure out if you actually paid rent to this person. And that's sort of where that bank verification piece comes in, is if it was a corporation, then we'll go into the bank account and actually see, hey, did this person make payments every month to that corporation? If it was an individual, that we can go and cross-reference it and see inside of the bank account, hey, did this person actually go and send out e-transfers to this individual that they claim to be their landlord? And then we can get an entire history of how long that's been happening for. The same thing applies for bank statements. So we can go and pull that data from a bank statement as well. And that is literally it. So they go in, they submit that. It takes usually anywhere from 5 to 7 minutes to go and do that end to end. And then they're completely done. And now we're going to be talking about the new product. Before I get into that, do you guys have any questions before I go into the next section?
That's pretty amazing.
100%.
Mm.
That's why it's backed by Treb.
Have you noticed any pushback from people wanting to go in and do it? I mean, not that you want tenants that would push back, but I'm just saying, like, have you heard from people that, oh, people are not interested in doing that?
Yeah, I mean, 99% of tenants will go and complete the application end to end. So very high uptake rate. Anyone that isn't completing it is usually suspicious, and agents come to us like a month or two later and they were like, hey, I just heard from like another agent that this person is actually committing fraud. So it works in two ways, right? Like, one is the approach of like, hey, I'm going to go and use this tool to go and do diligence on someone and find out whether or not they're a bad person or if they're, trying to fraud me for this apartment. But then the other thing is, if someone is hesitating a lot to go and share information and they have the ability to go and skip through steps they don't feel comfortable with, then they might actually just be committing fraud and they just don't want to get caught earlier. And so usually when someone's very aggressive about like, no, absolutely not, I don't want to fill it out, from what we've seen, it's usually like a fraudulent applicant or someone a little bit more suspicious.
For sure. So one more question. Do you have the finish report that a realtor would see? Because there's a lot of private questions in there, which we might not want to get into the details of,
Totally. Yeah. I can share a sample report as well. Let's just walk through this other flow that we have, and then we'll go through the
Absolutely.
product all at once. I just got another chat message. Where is the tenant's privacy in that situation? Employers often have privacy regulations. Again, when they're applying to these rental properties, they're already actually giving up this information anyways. So things from employment to, bank statements to, where did you live before? These are all standard questions that are already included in a rental form. So the information is actually the exact same. It's just another level of verification to actually make sure that this person information is actually correct. And as a realtor, you're actually not making that much money off of a lease. So it's hard to go and justify the amount of time that most people spend to go and do due diligence on some of these products or some of these leases or applicants, because they're not usually making that much money off of it. And they'd much rather focus on the buying and selling side. But because you have the obligation with your landlord or whoever is asking you to go and list up this property, you kind of have to still go and do the work of making sure that this person is legit. So this sort of just simplifies your life. It respects
It's not just that,
you
Adine.
know,
I see on the flip side how landlords will sue the realtor that's
yeah,
representing them if something goes wrong. So, yeah, that's something either they respond to your questionnaire, otherwise you don't have to rent it out to them, guys.
totally.
There is no privacy issue, I think, in on hand here.
Totally. And then
Mhm.
Melanie asked, in the past, I had tenants who will provide the majority of information. However, they have been hesitating about providing their bank statements. Is there a way that this could be skipped if necessary? Yeah, totally. If someone wants to go and skip the bank account connect and the bank statements, they can totally go and do that. We personally haven't seen a lot of people go and skip that stuff, but if you have someone that it's completely fine. We just give them a little message of saying that, hey, you're allowed to go and skip this step. You're not legally obliged to go and give this statement to us, but it does actually help you get into this rental unit a lot faster if you do go and share this information. So we include that messaging. We've tried and tested it with hundreds and thousands of people applying to these rentals, and we've basically perfected that messaging to make sure that the renter knows that, hey, they're allowed to go and get past the step if they don't feel comfortable with it, but it does greatly increase their chances of actually getting into that unit. And it's coming from a third party. It's not coming from you as a realtor.
Yeah,
So
I
those
would be
sort of things are
interested
key.
in seeing the report too, right? As to how detailed the statement is. I'm quite sure that it's not a detailed statement of their banks that you
Yeah, I
receive
mean,
as a realtor. Yeah.
totally, totally. I'll show you guys that in just a
Yeah.
sec. And then Nader asked, at the moment, tenants don't have to share bank statements, correct? Yeah, that's totally correct. You don't have to go and share a bank statement to go get into the units, even though from what we've seen, most people are already sharing it just as like another proof point. Um, and this is just another layer of sort of cross-referencing that. All right, we're going to get into the next section and then we should be done pretty soon. So the other option is if you don't want to go and send a link to someone yourself, there is the option of doing Deep Check Instant. And this is basically the same product, except you're now able to go and pull this yourself. So say you have like an older applicant, or you have a lot of applications at once and you don't have the time of sending it off to every single person. And maybe you don't have that much time to go and close a unit. You want to quickly check someone's application status without sending them an invite. And as long as you are either the listing agent or the showing agent, you have the right to go and pull the screening. So you would go in and select Instant Verify from the dashboard, and then you would go and hit Deep Check. The next step would be to go and enter in the tenant's details. So as a realtor, you have the details from the ID card or their first name, their last name, their date of birth, and the address that's on their government ID. So you would go and enter that in. Next step would be to go and upload the bank statements. So if they have provided you with bank statements, you can go and upload them yourself. But if you don't have their bank statements and it's completely fine, you can go and skip this step as well. Next step would be to go add in their employment documents. So everything from like their pay stubs to their employment letter, we'll be able to go and actually check for you if they're legit or not. And then if you have their details like, the employment company, the first name and the last name of the employer, their email address or any of that information that's usually on an ORIA form, then you can go and enter that in as well. But again, if you don't have it, then it's completely fine. We'll find another way of verifying the employment. And then you would go and enter in the rental history. So that would be the current address, the landlord's contact for the reference checks. And again, if you don't have the information, then you don't have to go and enter it. But the more information you have, the more thorough of a report that we can go and pull. And again, this is information that's already available on the ORIA form. So you're basically just copying and pasting on that side. And then we're going and doing the extra layer of verification for you. And then step 6 is completely optional. The same way that you guys saw us go and let the applicants go and connect a bank account or a payroll connection, you can actually send them a link to just go and do those 2 steps so they don't have to go through the entire workflow. If they feel comfortable with it and you talk to them, you can be like, hey, I'm going to send you a link and you're just going to go and connect your bank account and your payroll system. And again, if they don't feel comfortable doing that, they can go and skip past those steps. But we do allow people to go and do that if they have it available and the other person is willing to go and do so. And that's it. So results would generate within a few minutes from the instant check. The other one is dependent on the applicant completing it. Sometimes applicants take a little bit longer because they might be at work. This is something that you can run completely independently yourself. You can run it and then you get the results instantly in a report format, and then that's it. And now we're going to get into the exciting stuff. Before I do that, I'm just going to look through the chat one more time and answer any questions for this flow. Melanie asked, if there are more than one applicant and you add one as a co-applicant, do you do it for both? So yeah, you would go in and enter in the workflow for both of them. We recommend people verify both people that are coming into the lease, because sometimes what happens is, someone might have something on your record and then the other person doesn't have something on the record, but you want to make sure that you know exactly who's living inside that unit. Melanie also asked, I meant, do you pay for both? Yeah, so they are priced separately. So it's $14.95 for each report. It's not $14.95 for both reports. So you'd have to pay for both of them. After taxes, it would add up for about $30 for both people. All right, if there isn't any other questions up until now, then I can jump into what's actually inside of the report. What is the COFE score? We're going to get into that in just a sec. All right. So I have the slides for it, and then I also have the report itself in a PDF format. I'm just going to go and open this up, and I'll put it in chat as well if anyone wants to go and download that. It is a little bit of a longer link, so I do apologize for that, but you can also access the sample report through our website, which I'll put in chat as well. And then feel free to go and download this as well. All right, so first we're going to start off at the top. What you get is the PropTech score or the COFE score. You get a credit score, the rent to gross income, and then the monthly debt. The PropTech score is basically just an understanding of who the tenant is themselves. This is something that's coming out in Q1, so it's not currently live yet, but it basically stack ranks them against any other tenants in your area to basically tell you like, hey, how does my tenant go and stack rank against anyone else that I might be looking at or might be in that area for that specific property? That's why it helps adding things like property context, because now we can go and tell you like, hey, in North York, near Yonge and Shepherd, this is how many applicants are near you, and this is how your applicant stack ranks against them. So it's a little bit of market data for you. The next would be the credit score. We sourced this initially from Equifax, but if the Equifax connection fails, and we're also able to go and pull it from TransUnion as well. Standard Equifax or TransUnion credit score, and at the end of the report, there's a full credit report available as well, but it's just brought up to here for your convenience. Next would be the rent to gross income. So this is a calculation of what is the monthly rent as a percentage of the household income. It basically just tells you how affordable is this place for this person. And then the next piece would be the monthly debt. So this would just tell you from the credit report, hey, what's their monthly debt right now and the total amount they're paying in interest every month. The next piece would be the applicant information. So it'd be their first name, their last name, date of birth. If they've provided a social security number and insurance number, they can go and provide that as well, but obviously it would be blurred out. The driver's license number as well, that would also be blurred out. And then it would be their phone number and their email. And that's it for the applicant section. It'll show you property context if you've added any. So what are they applying for? What's the price? What's the landlord's name, email, phone number, length of stay, and why they're moving. And then this is the employment verification piece. So this information is pulled from those payroll sources. So when applicants are going in and linking their payroll source, so if they worked at Uber, it'll say here, Uber, it'll give you Uber's website. It'll tell you, hey, they're an Uber driver. And then if they have a supervisor, then it would go and provide their supervisor's name and email and phone number. But if they don't, then it would just be blank over here. It'd also go and tell you their employment years. So how long have they been employed at the organization for? The annual income, obviously pre-tax. And then it would be their household income. So if they have a spouse or someone else that's living with them or another co-applicant, it would tell you what their household income is. And then the next step would be the financial verification. So this is the one that we had the most amount of questions on before. So the first piece of the financial verification would be a bunch of graphs. So the graphs will go and tell you, hey, based off of the income that's coming in, how much of it is employment income, how much of it is other income, and how much of it is government income. If someone has a lot of government income, then that'll just tell you that, hey, they're really reliant on government programs. If they have high employment income, that's probably something that you want in the unit ASAP. The other piece would be the average monthly balance. So this would just be tracking their monthly balance over time. So it would show you, hey, this is how much time they've had this money for. What we see happening a lot on the fraudulent side is when someone asks for bank statements or proof that you actually have money in the account, they'll get like their parents or someone else to go and e-transfer in like 20 or 30K all at once. So they think that they have like a high monthly balance or a high balance at the moment. But then after they get into the unit, they'll go and send the money away somewhere, or they might just borrow it. So there's a lot of sort of ways people go and fake balances. This basically just prevents against that and make sure that they have a consistent balance over time. And then it would go and tell you the income per month. So how much income is coming into the account every month, whether or not it's stable. And then the next piece would be the financial verification analytics. It's basically just a bunch of insights that we pulled from the bank account itself. So the ones that I like myself are the on-time rent payments, because it basically goes into the bank account and tells you, hey, how many months of on-time rent payments has this person had? And it'll just give you an entire list of those on-time rent payments from the bank account. And then other things that are really important are like NSF counts, the current bank balance, and the monthly income. Again, all of this stuff is basically calculated inside of the bank account. And then it'll give you some other insights if it's available, like late utility history, any risks that are there, or if they're self-employed or not. And then it does give you the option of showing income transactions. So this is basically just verifying that the transactions that are coming into the account are actually from their income source. And we'll try to go and cross-reference that with the employment details that they provided us. We won't be able to look at any spending transactions, so we don't get access to any of that stuff. We don't display it either, and we don't store any of that stuff either. But if there are any risks or anything fishy over here, then we'll go and flag it for you. The next piece is the background checks. So we do a bunch of different background checks, everything from like open room to Can Lee, all the way over to your PEP and sanctions checks. So you'll be able to go and see whether or not this person is like a sex offender, if they're on any fraud watch lists, if they've ever refused to pay a rent, or if they've ever been evicted out of a property. We scan over 110,000 databases, over 180 plus countries. So it's super, super comprehensive. And if you wanted to, you could actually go and use this for FinTrack compliance as well. And then if someone gets flagged, then it'll just go and show you the records, and you can go and click on this link and it'll pop up the link on your browser. The next piece would be your applicant identity. So this would just go and be the applicant's ID. So the front, the back, it'll go and do verification. So, are they actually looking at the ID, or is it just a fake picture? And it'll pull information from the ID as well that we usually use to go and run credit. And then it'll just do a bunch of checks as well underneath it. So is there a liveliness check there, public figure? Are they faking anything? Is it actually a real person? Is it a deep fake? A lot of AI is now able to go and generate fake faces or fake IDs. So this will go and prevent against that. And then the next piece is the address history. So this would be a list of all the landlords that they might have rented with before. And then the landlord will get a scorecard, Airbnb style, that'll basically ask them like, hey, how do you rate this person out of 5? What would you rate them? Any other details? And we'll go and continuously reach out to the landlord until they go and answer this. We ask them about 3 to 4 times on a couple different days to see if they're able to go and respond. But most landlords will usually provide a reference within the first day or so of receiving the email.
So what you would get this from rental application, the email of the landlord, or do you need the telephone number of the landlord?
It would need the email and phone number, but if you only
okay.
have one piece, then that's fine as well.
And that's the tenant's going to fill that out.
Both. Yeah, the tenant's
So
going to fill that out.
what if,
usually it's
so I've
in the
come
OREO forms
across,
as well.
right. So I've come across this where tenants will fake the landlord.
Yeah.
And their best buddy is going to fill it out. So
Yep.
how do you make sure that that doesn't happen?
Totally. So that's where that bank verification piece comes in, or uploading some sort of bank statements. If they've done that, which most people do, we're able to go into the bank account and actually see like, hey, who is the landlord? Because whether you're paying your rent from the bank account and you're sending it to a corporation, we know who that corporation is because it's found inside of your bank data. Or when you're sending an e-transfer, we'll be able to go and match who that landlord is because it has their name right there. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, absolutely.
Got it. Yeah, I mean, the landlord email and the e-transfer email is a way of going and doing the verification as well. But we do, like, we constantly check like Geo Warehouse as well after these reports are generated to actually make sure like, hey, did this person actually own this property? And we're usually right on that side. And then the last step would be the credit report. So we pull that directly from Equifax, or if it fails, we'll go pull that from TransUnion. And it would be a full credit report, everything from your address to your debt summary, any loans that they might have outstanding, any addresses, and any other trade lines that might be found on the account. And that is it. That is your entire report.
So, Adina, I just want to ask you something else. Is that how
Yep.
you pronounce your name first?
Yeah,
Adina?
you got it.
Okay. Would it be prudent, or have you heard of people, because I mean, realtors are here, and I've worked with a lot of tenants, and I know that now more and more, there's a lot more issues with tenants, and it's hard for landlords to get the tenants out. So there is a lot of problems that are occurring for listing and co-op realtors, would it be prudent for a co-op realtor to actually, before they start working with someone and they don't know them very well, to get this process done and have this report shared with the landlords as an application, like pre-screening. And then the
Yeah.
landlord can go ahead and do whatever they want to as well. But at least
No,
you saved yourself by doing this, and you know for sure that the person that you're working with is legit.
300%. I would say, why not, right? Because in real estate, we hire like a lot of ex-realtors, so we hear this all the time. Like the biggest thing in real estate and the MLS world is that your reputation is everything. Like everyone gets all of these like business cards and does all this advertising and really tries to make like a name for themselves. And making a name for yourself is really just building your reputation, right? So if your reputation is like, hey, this is a realtor that always protects his client's interests, adds like another layer of verification, and is doing the work to go and make sure that their tenants are legit, then that adds to your reputation, right? But if you're not doing any of the work and you're kind of just letting things slip by, and then like, I don't know, 6 months later or 4 months later, tenant starts defaulting, and then that landlord doesn't really want to work with you again, that sort of raises some flags.
Oh, of course, yeah, yeah. I mean, and it'll, and given for your tenants, it'll also give them that support that you're paying for this prior to
Yeah,
working with them, and that you know that they will have a better chance at getting a property than anyone else with this. I mean, I would love to see this as a landlord myself, right? So,
definitely.
and
And
it'll be an easy screening process. If I have five offers, then someone who's providing this with their tenant's report, I would go for that.
100%. And then we have like situations, right, where you have an Uber driver, you have someone that in the traditional rental ecosystem might actually be overlooked or might be harder to go and get into a property. Actually, getting into property is a lot faster now because they're able to go and do things like prove their employment with
Yeah,
like the direct payroll connection. All the
yeah.
time we have like single mothers who, after a divorce might not have like the best credit score. They might have a low credit score because they took on a lot of debt, but we're able to go and prove with their bank transactions that, hey, this person is actually making enough money to go and live inside of that unit. And typically, if someone had a really low credit score and had a bunch of bank statements, it'd be hard to actually make sure that those bank statements are legit. And you would kind of overlook them because, their credit score is so low. But now we actually see people getting into units a lot faster because they might have connected like a bank account and proved that, hey, I
Hmm.
actually have all this money. So it
Yeah,
works both ways, right? It's like a
right.
verification tool, but it's also a way to go and uplift people as well.
Absolutely. So realtors, I would take this time and tell you because I see a lot of issues coming on my desk, and I would advise each and every one of you, if you're working with tenants or you're working with landlords, to please do your due diligence and do this.
100%.
Yeah, it will
And then we
save
just
you
had,
from a lot of headache when push comes to shove and things go south. At least you can prove to RICO and to uh, to a small claims court that you have done your due diligence. Because I'm telling you, landlords come after the realtors, and not just one
100%.
side but both. Yeah.
Exactly. And then
Mm.
we just had another question from John saying, what is the scan to verify QR code in the top right corner used for? So this would be a situation if you downloaded the PDF form. So the PDF form was the one that I sent inside of the chat. And if you download it as a PDF, then you can go and share it with another landlord, and then they can scan that verification code, the QR code, and then actually pull up a digital version of the report itself. So now they'll be able to go and digitally see it. You could print it out. You could submit it in the offer letter or the offer papers if you're doing in-person showings, or even tenants if they go and pull it on themselves and they want to go to a bunch of different showings, they can just print out that report in a PDF format. And then each showing that they go to, they can kind of bring it with them as like a passport, showing that, hey, if you want my information, then you can just go and scan this. Now it's easy to go and share between people.
Thank you for answering that. I was just wondering too, so I guess does it kind of eliminate the need then for you as like a landlord agent to additionally send it another version for the te potential tenant to fill in because it has that scan to verify code, or is it only now the tenant's representative that provides you this, and as a listing agent, you scan that code and it's good to go?
I mean, it could be either or. it really just depends on like who pulled the report first. We would urge the listing agent to go and pull the report first. But at the same time, it is on the representing agents to make sure that they're doing due diligence on their tenants.
Yeah,
So it
but
goes
if
both
the
ways.
representing agent has already brought the report, would you need to pull another report, or you can just
No,
scan the verification?
exactly.
Yeah,
You would be able to go and scan that verification, and then that would be
there you
pulled.
go.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, we got Melanie asking, I currently do a single queue report, and as a last step, arrange the landlord and tenant to meet either in person or video to answer any questions. After meeting, I leave it up to the landlord to make that final decision. Yeah, totally. And this is just like another layer of verification to make your decision.
Yeah,
If anything,
absolutely.
it helps your landlord sort of solidify their decision, especially because we don't let landlords go and pull these reports themselves. So this is kind of like your secret weapon as an agent saying that, hey, like this is a report that only I can go and pull because I'm a part of either the cornerstone or the treb board. All right, we're just going to walk through the product additions now, and then we should be wrapped up in a few minutes. So for 2026, we've released a new product category inside of the existing report. So inside of that 1495, you also have an voice AI that goes and calls previous landlords, employers, or any roommates that might have been listed. So this is, again, like another layer to make sure that that landlord reference that they provided is actually a real person. So the AI will go in, it'll go and call that person and ask them like, hey, was this person actually living here? How much time were they living here for? And it'll ask all the same questions that were included on that scorecard as well. And again, you can usually tell when someone's talking on the phone of like, hey, is this actually a real person or is it not a real person? And then we'll flag if anything sort of shows up. And I'll include a video to that demo as well in the chat that you guys can check out later, which is also included on the website. And then the next piece is the tenant self application. So as a listing agent, if you want tenants to come to your listing, pre-approved already or already ready to go, then you can go and tell them in your brokerage remarks, hey, just go to proptexverify.ca or apply.proptexverify.ca and go and get an application on yourself and make sure that you come to this listing with that application, just as another step to make your life easier. So now you only have tenants that already have pulled their information from one of the verification providers.
So I don't understand that. So I mean,
So this
kind of lost
would
in there.
be, yeah, so this would be encouraging the tenants to go and pull the application on themselves. So when they go to apply.proptexverify.ca, then they're gone in and prompted to go pull an application on themselves.
Oh, but then
And
you're
now
relying on the application that they're getting you, or would it come
so
to you
it would be the
directly?
same, it would be the same report that's pulled on your platform that tenants can go and pull on themselves, and then they can go and share it with you through the platform.
Oh,
And then the next piece is being able to chat with the report data. So newer feature that came in was now when information gets pulled out and the report gets generated, then you're able to go and chat with the data back and forth and ask it a bunch of follow-up questions. So if you go in and ask it like, hey, how does this tenant compare to like local tenants near North York? And then the AI will basically go in and understand the details of that tenant and then cross-reference it with all the other data that we have available and then give you an answer. So you don't have to go and look through the entire report if you don't have that much time, or maybe your landlord has like a quick question and you don't really know the answer to it, then you're able to go and type that in and the AI will go and tell you. And again, we don't train any models on the data itself, and all the data is completely anonymized in the system as well. And then that is it. And I saw a question come in. Wouldn't you put that in the client portion and not brokerage remarks? Yeah, you could. We see people putting it in the brokerage remarks, but you can also put that in the client portion. Either or works. And do we have any other questions before we wrap up here? Going once, going twice. All right. I'm just going to leave
awesome.
I'm going to leave the link as well in the chat. If you guys want to go take a look at that, it'll have some demo videos where you can see, chatting with the report, the voice AI, how you go and connect into the payroll and the bank account side. And then if you guys have any other questions, then feel free to go and shoot it over at help at
Are the demos, Are there demos on the prop text? Can we just go on that screen and show it to realtors?
So they will be available on demo.proptextverify.ca. So the link I just dropped in chat, it should be available on there. And it will have everything that we covered on today's session.
Are you guys owned by PropTex?
No. So we're a separate company from PropTex and the Toronto Real Estate Board. We actually serve a number of different financial organizations across Canada and the US. We work with companies like Bank of America, Securian, which is an insurance company, and a couple other MLS boards as well. We basically come in as like the financial services partner to go and help the different MLS associations and boards go and create value add products for their members. And that could be done through, financial verification. That could be letting people go and distribute other financial products like insurance policies or tenant insurance policies. And we have a pretty long-term relationship formed up with Treb now. So you guys are going to be seeing a lot more Cove and Treb X products come to you guys in the future.
Got it. So your parent company is Cove.
Yeah, that's correct.
Got it.
And then John asked, how long is the client's information stored for, and is it stored in Ontario? Yep, it's correct. All the Canadian data is stored on Canadian servers, and then the client's information is stored up to 30 days before we wipe it, or as long as that listing is up for. So as soon as that listing is off the market, then that report will be taken off the market as well. And if you choose to go and keep like a PDF copy of it on your system, then you're more than happy to go and do that. All right.
All right,
Again,
very
if you
good.
guys have any other questions, then please shoot over it over email. We'd be happy to help you.